وأتم التسليم على سيدنا وحبيبنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وعملا وفقها في الدين يا رب العالمين، وألحقنا بعبادك الصالحين آمين يا رب العالمين. يقول الله عز وجل: فاعلم أنه لا إله إلا الله. Amma ba'd. Today, inshallah, alhamdulillah, we have given the great opportunity to start on a great kitab, and a kitab that has been accepted throughout the centuries, approximately more than 1,000 years, alhamdulillah, from to all corners of the globe. This is such a book that no Muslim Sunni group can go without. Okay, no matter which background you come from, whether you come from the Salafi, the Deobandi, the Brelvi, whichever Ahlul Sunnah background that you come from in whichever part of the world, whether you're a Maliki, whether you're a Hanafi, whether you're a Shafi'i, whether you're a Hanbali, this book you cannot do without. Every single madrasa, nearly every single madrasa in the world teaches it at some stage, whether in the beginning stage or after stage. Depends on how you want to teach this book. This book, of course, can be taught as a very simple matan, because the matan is only 5 pages. It's only 5 pages. It's a very simple book. Very, very, very simple book. It's written for anyone and everyone, okay? So before we start a book, we normally go through the ijaza, the sanad that has come through to us from student to teacher, from teacher to teacher, from teacher to teacher, right until the author of the book. So this is my sanad. Inshallah, I present this before starting this book, before narrating this book to you. I have been licensed to teach this book, and it's a small matan, as I said, by Imam Abu Ja'far al-Tahawi. So my ustad, Sheikh Ali bin Abduh al-Husayni, he's from the lineage of Imam al-Husayn. He narrates from his ustad, Sheikh Ibrahim Salih al-Husayni, who is approximately 90 years old at the moment. He's a Nigerian sheikh, mashallah. He's still alive, alhamdulillah. So my ustad, he narrates from his ustad, who is still alive, and then he narrates from Al-Ma'mar al-Kayahi, Jam'an ibn Ma'mun al-Tanqarani, والشيخ عبد الستار ibn عبد الوهاب الدهلوي المكي, both of them from Ma'mar al-Kiyahi, Nawawi ibn Umar al-Bintani, from Arshad ibn Abd al-Samad al-Banjari, and Ma'mar ibn Abd al-Samad ibn Abd al-Rahman al-Falmabani, and al-Ma'mar ibn Aqib ibn Hasan al-Din, ثم مدين عن شقيقه صالح ibn Hasan الدين عن عيد بن عبد علي النمرسي عن عبد الله بن سالم البصري عن محمد بن علي المكتبي عن النجم محمد الغزي عن أبيه البدر محمد الغزي عن أبيه الرضي محمد الغزي عن أبيه الشهاب أحمد الغزي عن حافظ أحمد بن حجر so it goes through Imam Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, عن أبي إسحاق إبراهيم بن أحمد التنوخي عن أبي محمد عبد الرحمن بن عبد المولى الكيداني عن إسماعيل بن أحمد العراقي. So this goes through حافظ العراقي as well. عن حافظ أبي موسى محمد بن أبي بكر المديني عن إسماعيل بن الفضيل ابن الإخشيد عن أبي بكر ابن المقري عن المؤلف إمام أبي جعفر أحمد بن أحمد محمد ابن سلامة الطحاوي. So this is my sanad. The importance of the sanad before teaching these books is that the understanding of the book has come from generation to generation, and according to this understanding we transmit this book. Okay, according to that same understanding we transmit this kitab from generation to generation with the exact same understanding of the author of the book. This is why we have the sanad going up to the author. Another point to remember is, if a person teaches this book with an understanding other than the understanding of the people of the chain of the book, how they understood it and how they transmitted it with their understanding, then this person's sanad will not be of any usefulness. Okay, this person's sanad will be invalid because you are rejecting the understanding of the author himself and the way he has understood and transmitted his text from generation to generation. So the understanding of the text is extremely important, and this is why we keep the sanad system. This is why we keep the sanad system. And this is not to say that I just studied this book under Sheikh Ali ibn Abdu al-Husayni. Rather, I studied the kitab inside the Dars Nizami system in South Africa by our Mufti Sahib, who is Mufti Imran Hatiya in Darul Ulum, Newcastle. This is the madrasa that I graduated from. Darul Ulum, Newcastle, the first madrasa in South Africa. And Mufti Imran Hatiya was given this book to teach in the fourth year. We also done another book called Bad'ul Amali, and that was with Mufti Aqil Sahib from Deoband, one of the graduates of Deoband, one of the senior sheikhs, and he used to teach us in the senior kitabs like Hidayah, Kitabul Hidayah in Hanafi fiqh. Anyway, so this is our sanad. Anyone that transmits the kitab with an understanding that is other than the understanding of the ulama that transmitted this book, this whole sanad that I just read out to you, his sanad will be batil, his sanad will be invalid, okay? It will be null and void. It will have no weight in front of the author or in front of the book that is transmitted. So this is extremely important. So for example, if a Salafi wants to twist a couple of verses, a couple of sentences inside Imam Tahawi's book to an understanding that is other than the understanding of all the ulama that transmitted this kitab, then this Salafi or this Wahhabi, his sanad will not be valid in this book. Okay, this is why I mentioned this point. So I don't keep it vague. It is clear and explicit to everyone that a sanad that is other than the understanding of the ulama that transmitted the book, which are all Ash'aris and Maturidis. Every single alim from 1,000 years that transmitted this book, all over, right, from Imam Tahawi right until us, all of them are either Ash'aris or Maturidis. There is no other person inside the chain other than Ash'aris and Maturidis. Okay? If a person says otherwise, then I can challenge him to I challenge him that he must prove to us that there's another sanad that is by their Athari scholars, okay, as they claim. Okay, there is no sanad on Imam al-Tahawi's book. This is my sanad. I'm going to show this here so everyone knows that this is our sanad. So before going on to Imam al-Tahawi, let's go through a small biography of who Imam al-Tahawi was. Imam al-Tahawi was one of the best scholars of hadith, one of the biggest, one of the greatest scholars of hadith, especially in the Hanafi madhab, in the early times, from the times of the muhaddithin. He lived at the time of Imam al-Bukhari, Imam Muslim, Imam Tirmidhi, Imam Nasa'i, and Ibn Majah, as we'll go through inshallah. So his name and his lineage. What is his name? His name is Abu Ja'far Ahmad ibn Muhammad ibn Salama bin Salma al-Azdi al-Hajari al-Misri al-Tahawi. So let's go through each and every single one of them inshallah. Abu Ja'far is his kunya, is his title. Ahmad ibn Muhammad bin Salama bin Salma, indicating his actual name along with his paternal lineage. This is his lineage going through his father's side. Al-Azdi, it refers to a tribe in Yemen, which he belonged to. His forefathers came from Yemen and they settled in Egypt. This was Imam al-Tahawi. Al-Hajari, this refers to one of the branches, one of the tribe branches. So there's Azd Shanu'a and there's Azd Hajar. So he is from the Azd Hajar branch of Yemen. Okay? Al-Misri denotes that he is affiliated with the land of Egypt. This is where he was born, and specifically in the village of Taha, Egyptian desert where he was born. Okay, this is where his name comes from, or his title comes from, that we call him Imam al-Tahawi, or the Aqeedah of al-Tahawiyyah. Birth and education. He was born in 239 after Hijrah. When did Imam al-Bukhari die? 256 after Hijrah. So he had a whole 17 years. He had a whole 17 years until the death of Imam al-Bukhari. So when he became at the age of, when Imam Tahawi became at the age of 17, this is when Imam al-Bukhari passed away. So he had a great portion of that time, living in that time of the muhaddithin, the peak of hadith at that time, 1,000 years ago, over 1,000 years ago. This is the point. 239 after Hijrah he was born. His father was a learned, pious man. He was a alim. He was a salih. He was known to the whole community. And he had a liking for literature, Arabic adab, and poetry, ash'ar, and eloquence, balagha. Okay, these were his fields of specialization. His father loved lugha, Arabic language, so much. So literature, poetry, and balagha, eloquence. His mother was a jurist. Imam al-Tahawi's mother was a jurist of the Shafi'i madhab of the highest caliber. Likewise, his maternal, so his mother and the mother's brother was called Imam al-Muzani. And Imam al-Muzani was one of the greatest scholars of the Shafi'i madhab and one of the greatest students of Imam Shafi'i himself. Okay, Imam al-Muzani. So Imam Jalaluddin as-Suyuti, one of the great scholars of Islam, here mentions, the author of Jalalain, he mentions that the mother was, she was a Shafi'i jurist in Egypt, and his maternal uncle, so his mama, as we call it in Bengali or in Urdu, mama is Imam al-Muzani, one of the students of Imam al-Shafi'i. And this is how he was raised. So his father is a great sheikh, a person who was a linguist. He was a master in the Arabic language. He used to love Arabic poetry, and he was a Shafi'i scholar as well. His mom was one of the greatest Shafi'i scholars. His uncle, his mama, was one of the greatest disciples of Imam Shafi'i himself. So this is how he grew up. Imagine what type of level of ilm that he grew up with. Okay? This, just to understand who Imam al-Tahawi was. Okay? Imam al-Tahawi benefited mostly from his uncle, Imam al-Muzani. And he also transmits the Musnad of Imam Shafi'i through Imam al-Muzani. Okay, so he himself has a collection that he collected from his uncle, all the hadiths that he heard from his uncle, from the narrations of Imam Shafi'i directly. So Imam Shafi'i's direct students is Imam al-Muzani, and Imam Tahawi is studying directly to Imam al-Muzani, and he narrates all the narrations of Imam al-Shafi'i. So those who say that he is not well learned in the Shafi'i fiqh, he was the master of Shafi'i fiqh. He grew up in the master of all masters, Imam al-Muzani and his mother. Okay, so this is how he grew up. He studied under teachers from in hadith and fiqh, from Egypt, from Yemen, from Basra, from Kufa, from Syria, from Khurasan and other Islamic lands. He went to everywhere, every possible place of learning that you can think of. Imam Zahid al-Kawthari, what does he mention about Imam al-Tahawi? He says, من اطلع على تراجم شرح الطحاوي علم أن بينهم مصريين ومغاربة ويمنيين وبصريين وكوفيين وحجازيين وشاميين وخراسانيين ومن سائر الأقطار، فتلقى منهم ما عندهم من الأخبار والآثار، وقد تنقل في البلدان المصرية وغير المصرية. Okay, so he took knowledge from all these countries, okay, from Yemen, from Syria, from Egypt, from Khurasan, from Hijaz referring to Makkah and Medina, and Sham, and many others. He took hadith especially, and because he was a master of hadith. He was a master of hadith, and he is the pillar of the Hanafi madhab when it comes to hadith. Okay, anyone that says the Hanafi madhab is not based on hadith and athar of the Sahaba and the Tabi'een is completely mistaken, and he is yet to see the books of Imam al-Tahawi. Anyone that sees the books of Imam al-Tahawi, and he is from the caliber of the muhaddithin. That's why anyone that sees Imam al-Tahawi automatically submits that the Hanafi madhab is complete and full of evidences from the Sahaba and the Tabi'een and the Hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Then we go on to some of his teachers, some of his well-known teachers. Imam Ismail ibn Yahya al-Muzani al-Shafi'i, we mentioned him. Okay, he died 264, just after Imam al-Bukhari, approximately 8 years after Imam al-Bukhari's death. Imam Muzani died. So Imam al-Muzani, in that sense, then he was one of the senior students of Imam al-Shafi'i from the death date. We can deduce that. Imam Yunus bin Abdul A'la, he died 264. Qadi al-Kabir Abu Bakr al-Bakkar ibn Qutayba al-Basri, he died 270 after Hijrah. These are the teachers. These are the teachers of Imam al-Tahawi. Imam Ibrahim ibn Abi Dawood ibn Dawood al-Asadi, Asadi, 270 after Hijrah. Imam Rabi' ibn Sulaiman al-Muradi, this is another teacher, 270, he died after Hijrah. Imam Qadi Ahmad ibn Abi Imran al-Baghdadi, 280 after Hijrah. Imam Abu Khazim Abdul Hamid ibn Abdul Aziz al-Qadi, 292 after Hijrah. And then he mentions Imam Ahmad ibn Shu'aib al-Nasafi, the author of Sunan. Al-Nasa'i, the author of Sunan al-Nasa'i. Imam al-Nasa'i was from his teachers, from the teachers of Imam al-Tahawi. Imam Abu Bishr Ahmad ibn Muhammad ibn al-Hammad al-Dhulabi. Then, and lastly, he mentions Imam Abu Bakr ibn Abi Dawood as-Sijistani. Imam Abu Dawood was also from there. So Imam Abu Dawood and Nasa'i from the teachers of Imam al-Tahawi. Likewise, from the students of Imam al-Tahawi were Qadi of Egypt, Imam Ahmad ibn Ibrahim ibn Hammad, 329 after Hijrah. Imam Abul Qasim Ahmad, Abdullah ibn Muhammad ibn Ahmad, known as Ibn Abil Awam. Ibn Abil Awam was a very famous scholar, 335 after Hijrah. The historian Abu Sa'ad, Abdul Rahman ibn Ahmad ibn Yunus al-Misri, 347 after Hijrah. This is also from his students. The hadith scholar Maslama ibn Qasim al-Qurtubi, 353 after Hijrah. Imam Hafiz ibn Qasim Sulaiman ibn Ahmad al-Tabarani, Imam al-Tabarani, the great historian, Imam al-Tabarani, and the Muhaddith, Mu'jam al-Kabir, Mu'jam al-Awsat, Mu'jam al-Saghir, written by Imam al-Tabarani, 360 after Hijrah, he passed away. So he's also from the students of Imam al-Tahawi, Imam Abu Ja'far al-Tahawi. Imam Abu al-Faraj Ahmad ibn Qasim ibn al-Kashab, he also, or Khashab probably, 364 after Hijrah. Imam Ahmad ibn Abdullah ibn Adi ibn Abdullah al-Jurjani, Imam al-Jurjani, one of the greatest scholars of history, again Usuli, Hanafi Usuli, 365 after Hijrah. Imam Abu Sulaiman Muhammad ibn Zabar al-Himsi, 300 Himsi from Syria, 379 after Hijrah. Imam Muhammad ibn Muzaffar al-Baghdadi, 379 after Hijrah. And Imam Abu Bakr ibn Muqri, 381 after Hijrah. So this is important to know when they passed away, because if you don't know when they passed away, then you don't know if they're the students or if they're the teachers of Imam al-Tahawi. And unfortunately, all of us, even as students of knowledge, we've become weak when it comes to knowing the biographies of these great scholars. All of these scholars were qadis and muhaddithin and mufassirin and fuqaha and usuliyin, as we mentioned, and historians, great historians and great scholars of hadith that wrote books of hadith. As we know, Imam Abu Dawood, Imam Nasa'i, and Imam Tabarani being the famous ones. Other ones, they also wrote books, but it probably didn't become as famous, or it didn't get to us. Okay, his manhaj in fiqh. Originally, he grew up as a Shafi'i. So he was a Shafi'i scholar. Imam al-Tahawi was a Shafi'i scholar because his mother was a Shafi'i and his uncle was a Shafi'i. As we said, his mama was a Shafi'i. So what's the reason that he became a Hanafi? What's the reason that he became a Hanafi? Now, Imam Tahawi himself says there's two narrations why he became Hanafi. And possibly both of them are correct. Possibly both of them are correct. We can't say one is correct over the other. Okay, Imam Zahid al-Kawthari, he mentions two narrations. One narration mentions قال لي أبو جعفر الطحاوي أول من كتبت عنه الحديث المزني حديث المزني وأخذت بقول الشافعي and I took the fiqh of Imam al-Shafi'i. فلما كان بعد سنين, after years and years, what happened? قدم أحمد بن عمران قاضيا على مصر. Ahmad ibn Imran, one of the great scholars, he came to Egypt and he was the Qadi of Egypt. He was the famous Grand Mufti of Egypt. And فَصَحِبْتُهُ, this is important, فَصَحِبْتُهُ, I gained his company. I stayed with him all the time. This was the Qadi of Egypt in Misr at the time of the Muhaddithin, imagine. So you can't just be a Qadi without being a Muhaddith. That's something which a person must also understand. Unfortunately, people have become literalists and they distinguish between who's a Muhaddith and who's a Faqih. A Faqih cannot be a Faqih without being a Muhaddith. Same thing with Imam Abu Hanifa. He cannot be a Faqih without having Hadith in storage. Okay? It's not possible. So, when Ahmad ibn Imran, when he came to Egypt, Imam Tahawi started going to his circles and going and attending his lessons. And وَأَخَذْتُ بِقَوْلِهِ, and I started to take his opinions, meaning I started to become a Hanafi. وَكَانَ يَتَفَقَّهُ لِلْكُوفِيِّينَ, and he used to be a faqih from the Kufiyin. Kufiyin is Imam al-A'zam, Imam Abu Hanifa's place where he taught fiqh. Okay, so he gained the fiqh of Imam Abu Hanifa through Ahmad ibn Imran, who was the Qadi of Egypt. The second narration why Imam Tahawi became a Hanafi after being a Shafi'i all his life is Muhammad bin Ahmad Sharwamali said, he asked Imam al-Tahawi, Lima khalafta madhhaba khalik? Why did you go against the madhab of your mama, of your uncle? Why did you go against his madhab? واخترت مذهب أبي حنيفة, and you chose the madhab of Imam Abu Hanifa. فقال لأني كنت أرى خالي يديم النظر في كتب أبي حنيفة فلذلك التفت إليه. Okay, so he says, I saw my uncle, who is Imam al-Muzani, who is the student of Imam Shafi'i. He used to always look into the books of Imam Abu Hanifa's books. Continuously. He used yudimun nadar refers to dama yadumu, isn't it? Yudimun nadar, continuously gaze into the books of Imam Abu Hanifa. This is why I adopted the madhab of Imam Abu Hanifa. There's another story where Imam Muzani, he told him off. He told his nephew off. Okay, Imam Tahawi off. And Imam Tahawi later on, after years and years of writing books in the favor of Imam Abu Hanifa, because he later becomes a Hanafi, isn't it? And he defends the madhab of Imam Abu Hanifa against the madhab of Imam Shafi'i. This is, of course, through ilm. This is all ilm, okay? Because we know the madhab of Imam Shafi'i is correct. Likewise, the madhab of Imam Abu Hanifa is correct. Whichever one that you follow, is both of them are correct, okay? This is just ilmi discussion that they had. So Imam al-Muzani, out of anger, he said that you'll not find much benefit in it. And he took an oath on it. Imam Abu Ja'far al-Tahawi, after writing all these books, great books, we'll go through the books inshallah, big books, huge books, defending the madhab of Imam Abu Hanifa in hadith, especially in hadith. And him being a muhaddith of that caliber, of the caliber of Imam Bukhari, Muslim, Tirmidhi, Abu Dawud, Nasai, Ibn Majah, as Imam Tahawi was a great thing, especially in that time. Okay, especially in that time, especially in the time of the muhaddithin, because some of the muhaddithin had a problem with Imam Abu Hanifa's madhab, just like nowadays, a lot of people have a problem with Imam Abu Hanifa's madhab, even now after 1,000 years. Okay, whilst the Shafis themselves wrote books, whilst the Hanbalis themselves wrote books, whilst the Malikis themselves wrote books to defend Imam Abu Hanifa and his knowledge in hadith. Okay, Ibn Abdul Barr and many others. Okay, they wrote books. Anyway, the point isn't there. The point is here that Later on in his life, Imam Tahawi says that if my uncle lived until this time and saw my books, he would have given kafara. He would have given expiation of the oath that he took, that I won't find much benefit in the Hanafi books. Okay, because he himself used to look into the Hanafi books. Okay, this is why Imam Ja'far al-Tahawi, he said, if he were to live until this time, he would have made kafara on his oath. Okay, meaning he was wrong. He was wrong to say such a statement. Okay, because the madhab of Imam Abu Hanifa, not only is it the first madhab, it is the greatest madhab in the sense that it was always the adopted madhab of majority of the caliphs of Islam throughout centuries. Okay, throughout the centuries, it was the vast majority, meaning minimum, even if you do the calculations, at least 60% of the whole ummah from the time of Imam Abu Hanifa, which is 150 after Hijrah, until now, so it's over 1,300 years. Over 1,300 years, minimum 60% of the whole world, entire globe, at every single portion of history was Hanafi. Okay? And this is by researchers. This is not by me. I'm not making these numbers up. Okay? This is by researchers. Modern researchers, if you want to know that as well. Not just by ulama. Okay? Khair. So these are the two reasons that is mentioned why Imam Tahawi changed from the Shafi'i madhab and he became a Hanafi. And there's many stories of other ulama. Like for example, someone who our sanad goes through as well. Ibn Daqiq al-Eid. Ibn Daqiq al-Eid. One of the greatest scholars of the 7th century at the time of Imam Ibn Taymiyyah. At the time of Imam Ibn Taymiyyah. He was called as Shaykhul Islam. Ibn Daqiq al-Eid was known as Shaykhul Islam. There's many scholars that were known as Shaykhul Islam. He was one of them. He done a short commentary on the 40 hadith of Imam al-Nawawi. I'm sure everyone knows the 40 hadith of Imam al-Nawawi. He done a very short, concise commentary on. That's the one that we have ijazah on and sanad on. Anyway, he was a Shafi. He was a master of the Shafi madhab. He became Maliki. So for the Malikis, it's something to rejoice, isn't it? He was a mufti of the Shafi madhab as well as the Maliki madhab at the same time. That's how deep his scholarly learnings were. And this is something that we learn, that every scholar in history either was a Shafi, Maliki, Hanbali or Hanafi. That's the first thing. Second thing, he was either an Ash'ari or a Maturidi. Either he was an Ash'ari or Maturidi in Aqeedah. There's very couple of people only you can find in history that were otherwise. That's why before I started this book of Imam Tahawi, Aqeedah Tahawi, we didn't start yet. We're just going through the biography, inshallah. That every single person on our chain, in every single person that transmitted this book of Aqeedah to Tahawiyyah is Ash'ari and Maturidi. Is Ash'ari and Maturidi. All the shuyukh that it has come down to us is Ash'ari and Maturidi. Any Salafi, any Wahhabi that narrates this book and teaches this book and gives his sanad is not valid. Why? Because he makes tabdi'. He says every single person on the chain of Imam al-Tahawi is a bid'ati. Is a bid'ati. His aqeedah is wrong. He understood aqeedah wrong. Because his understanding of asma and sifat is different from the aqeedah that is transmitted to us according to the Ash'ari and the Maturidi scholars of Imam al-Tahawi. Okay, those scholars that narrated the book to us. So this is why it is extremely important to know who to take knowledge from before you take knowledge. Okay, and as we mentioned our whole sanad here, okay, it is extremely important to know who has sanad and who doesn't have sanad, who is allowed to teach this book according to the understanding of the author himself. Okay, according to the author himself, Imam al-Tahawi. So it's nice to say that I have this and I have that. I have a certificate from Medina University. Show me your sanad. So show me your link to Aqeedah of Imam Tahawi before you teach Tahawi. How many people have the sanad? And even if they have the sanad, are they teaching according to the people in their sanad? They will fail in both. They will fail in both. So they don't have the right to teach Aqeedah Tahawiyyah because they go against all the people inside the sanad. So what's the point of teaching that book? If you're teaching a different understanding of the book, other than the understanding of all the mashayikh that taught it to their students until it came down to us after 1300 years, And why are you teaching this book? To confuse people according to your understanding, isn't it? So this is a huge amana ilmiya. Amana ilmiya. And if a person goes against it, is khiyana, is deception. Deception in knowledge, deception in ilm, deception in aqeedah, deception in everything, in all the ulums. Okay, some of the contemporary scholars of Imam al-Tahawi were, look at this here, subhanallah, this author puts it very nicely inside a whole table, mashallah. So here, Imam Bukhari, at the time of Imam Bukhari's death, Imam Tahawi's age was 17. Imam Tahawi's age was 17 years old. At the death of Imam Muslim, Sahih Muslim, Imam Tahawi was 22 years old. 22 years old. So he lived through all, this was his peak. 17, Imam Bukhari. 22, Imam Muslim. This is his age. Imam Ibn Majah, when Imam Ibn Majah died, Imam Tahawi was 34. Imam Tahawi was 34. When Imam Abu Dawood as-Sijistani, Imam Abu Dawood, the author of Sunan Abu Dawood, when he died, Imam al-Tahawi was 36 years old. When Imam at-Tirmidhi died, Imam Tahawi was 40 years old. Imam Tahawi was 40 years old. And the last one to die was Imam al-Nasa'i. When Imam al-Nasa'i died, Imam Tahawi was 64 years old. Imam Tahawi lived a very long life. Imam Tahawi lived a very, very, very long life. And mashallah, Allah blessed him with so much ilm, so much knowledge. And you can see his acceptance. His acceptance is all over the world for more than 1,300 years. Okay? 1,300 years, he's been accepted all over the globe, no matter what. No matter whether you're a Maliki in Mauritania, whether you're a Hanafi in Pakistan, whether you're a Shafi'i in Egypt or Yemen, whether you're a Hanbali in Makkah, Medina, wherever you are, you have to accept Imam al-Tahawi. Without accepting Imam al-Tahawi, because he is the one that narrates the Aqeedah of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. He is the one that narrates the Aqeedah of the Salafus Salihin. خير إن شاء الله. We'll stop here إن شاء الله. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.